Imagine taking a medicine that gets approved and used by millions of people worldwide, and then suddenly unexpected side effects starts appearing. So who tracks those reactions and who investigates them and who ensures that medicine is still safe for patients? That entire system is called pharmacovigilance. Hello everyone, welcome to Analytics RX. My name is Deepika Vishwakarma, and in today's video I'm going to simplify pharmacovigilance from absolute basics, like including workflows, career opportunities, software tools, and where this field is heading. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so first thing first, what exactly is pharmacovigilance? Now, the official WHO definition says, and I want you to remember this, that pharmacovigilance is the science and activities related to detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of adverse effects of medicine. Now, I know that sounds very technical, so let's simplify it. In simple words, pharmacovigilance or PV is basically drug safety monitoring. It means continuously monitoring medicines to make sure they remain safe for patients even after they are launched in the market. And this process never really stops because once medicines are used by lakhs or even millions of people worldwide, new side effects or safety risks can appear that were never seen during the clinical trial, and that's where PV comes in. So second is scope. PV doesn't just cover marketed drugs, it covers medicines right from the development stage through clinical trials all the way to post-marketing surveillance. So basically the entire life cycle of a drug. Then third is purpose, and this is the heart of it, ensuring that patient safety by identifying and minimizing drug-related risks. Everything in PV ultimately comes back to protecting the patient. And fourth one is importance. PV protects public health through continuous monitoring worldwide. It's a global function, not just limited to one country or one company. And honestly, without PV, the entire healthcare system would be at much risk. Okay, now you might be thinking, yeah, like drugs are tested in clinical trial before approval. So why do we still need to monitor them after? Great question, and this slide answers exactly that. See, clinical trials are conducted on maybe a few thousand patients, but once a drug is approved and launched, it is used by millions of people of different ages, different health conditions, different ethnicities, taking different combination of other medications. Then that's why you start seeing side effects that were never caught during trials. And that's why drug safety matters a lot, and let me walk you through 4 key reasons. First one is patient protection. This is the most obvious one. Like PV ensures that if a drug is causing unexpected harm, we catch it early and act on it before more patients are affected. Then regulatory compliance. Every pharmaceutical company is legally required to monitor and report safety data. FDA in the US, EMA in Europe, and GVP, that stands for Good Pharmacovigilance Practices, are the governing frameworks. And if a company fails to comply, they can lose their market authorization, and it's a big deal. Then public health impact. PV doesn't just protect individual patients, it protects communities. When a safety signal is identified, health authorities communicate it to doctors and patients so that risks are minimized across the population. Then finally, market confidence. If patients and doctors don't trust that a drug is safe, they won't use it. And PV builds and maintains that trust by ensuring transparency around the drug safety process. Moving ahead, AE versus ADR versus SAE. Alright, now let's talk about 3 terms that confuse almost every beginner in pharmacovigilance. Trust me, once you understand these properly, half of PV terminology becomes much easier because it's majorly asked in the interview process too. So, adverse event. This is the broadest category, and an adverse event is basically any unwanted medical occurrence after taking a medicine. The important point is the drug may or may not have caused it. For example, say a patient takes chemotherapy and later develops a headache. At this stage, we don't know whether the medicine caused the headache or not. So for now, it's simply an AE. Then comes ADR, adverse drug reaction. Now, if a doctor or a reviewer suspects that the drug actually caused the headache, then it becomes an ADR. So an ADR is harmful, unintended response to drugs where causality, like meaning the link between the drug and the reaction, is suspected or confirmed. So the easiest way to remember is AE is equal to something happened and ADR is drug likely caused it. Now SAE. It is slightly different. This is not about whether the drug caused the event, it's about how serious the outcome was. An event becomes serious if it causes hospitalization, death, disability, life-threatening condition or birth defects. And this is where many beginners get confused. Like serious does not mean severe. A severe headache may not be serious, but a mild allergic reaction causing hospitalization becomes serious. Now here are the key differences I want you to remember. That an AE becomes an ADR only when causality is established, and SA is about how serious the event is, and ADR is about whether the drug caused it. That these are assessed independently, so you can have an SAE that is not an ADR and an ADR that is not an SAE. And one more term I want you to note down is SUSAR. It stands for Serious Unexpected Suspected Adverse Reaction. So it combines all three aspects. The event is serious, it wasn't listed in the drug safety document, and the drug is suspected to have caused it. So SUSAs have the strictest reporting timelines in the entire PV system, that is 7 days for fatal or life-threatening cases, 15 days for other serious cases. So you will hear this term constantly in the interviews or on your job profile. Moving ahead. Now this is the heart of the video, the ICSR workflow. ICSR stands for Individual Case Safety Report. This is the actual process followed in the industries every single day. So step 1 is case intake and receipt. This is where it all begins. Like adverse event reports come in from various sources, say healthcare professionals, patients, clinical trial sites, published literature, and the moment a valid case is received, day 0 is assigned, and this is the awareness date, not a receipt date. So a case is valid only if it has 4 elements: an identifiable patient, an identifiable reporter, a suspect drug, and an adverse event. Without all 4, it's not even a valid ICSR yet. Then step 2 is triage and validation. Once case is received, it goes through triage. Here we assess seriousness, like does it meet any seriousness criteria like death, hospitalization, disability. We check expectedness, is the reaction already mentioned in the drug safety document? And most importantly, we determine the reporting timeline. Is it a 7-day SUSAR from clinical trial or a 15-day serious spontaneous case? We also run duplicate check at this stage to make sure that the same case hasn't been already received from a different source. Then step 3 is data entry and coding. Now the case goes into the safety database. Most commonly used are Oracle Argus, RSG or Viva Vault Safety. The case processor enters all the patient details, the suspect drug, concomitant medication, and the event details. And even medical coding is done here using MEDRA coding for adverse event and WHO-DD coding for the drug. And the case narrative is also written at this stage, which is a structured chronological summary of what happened to the patient. Then comes step 4, QC and medical review. Before a case can get submitted, it goes through quality check. First, the case processor does a self check like complete coding, accuracy, narrative quality, and then a medical reviewer, usually a physician, validates the causality assessment, seriousness, expectedness, and then gives their sign off. Then once approved, the case is locked in the database, which generates E2B XML file, which is basically an electronic format for regulatory submission. Then regulatory submissions. The locked case is now submitted electronically to health authorities like FDA via FAERS in the US, EMA via UDRA Vigilance in Europe, and other national authorities like PMDA in Japan, MHRA in the UK, TGA in Australia, depending on where the drug is marketed. Then after submission, each authority sends back acknowledgement called as an ACK, and that timestamp is your legal proof that you have submitted on time. Then step 6, follow-up and case closure. After submission, the work isn't done. The safety team monitors all the accumulated cases for patterns. This is signal detection, Tools like Empirica Signal run statistical analysis to flag if a particular drug is being associated with an event more than expected. Then periodic aggregate reports. PSUR, PBRER and DSUR are complied summarizing all cases over a definite time period. Then if a signal is confirmed, it goes to safety committee, then to health authority and can result in label update, a warning added to drugs information or a direct communication to healthcare professionals. Then finally all case documents are archived in PSMF, the Pharmacovigilance System Master File, which regulators inspect to verify that the entire system is working correctly or not. Moving ahead. Now let's talk about careers because I know that's what many of you are here for. So PV offers a wide range of roles across pharma companies, CROs and consulting firms. So first one is drug safety associate or case processor. This is the most common entry level role. Here you are doing everything we discussed in the ICSR workflow, that is intake, coding, narrative writing, data entry, submission tracking. And if you're looking into like breaking into PV, this is where most people start. Then medical reviewer. This is typically a physician who reviews cases from clinical perspective. They validate causality, seriousness, expectedness and provide medical sign-off before a case is logged. Then aggregate report writer. This person compiles the big periodic safety reports like PSUR, PBRER and DSUR that summarize all safety data over a time period and submit them to authorities. Here, strong medical writing and regulatory knowledge is needed. Then QPPV stands for Qualified Person for Pharmacovigilance. This role is legally mandated role under EU regulations, like every pharma company operating in the Europe must have one. The QPPV is personally responsible for entire PV system of the company. They oversee the PSMF, they communicate with health authorities and are accountable for all compliance matters. Think of them as the head of the entire drug safety function. It's more of a senior leadership role, something you build towards over years in this field. But it's important for beginners to know it exists and understand what it represents. Then safety informatics specialist. This is more technical role. They manage the PV database like Argus, Viva, and handle system validation, automation, E2B data exchange. If you come from an IT or data background and want to enter in PV, this is your entry point. Then signal detection and safety analyst. This is honestly one of the most exciting areas right now, as this person monitors the cumulative case database for emerging safety patterns. They use statistical tools like SQL, Power BI to run analysis and prepare signal reports. Its growing role as PV becomes more data driven. Moving ahead. Now let's have a quick word on tools because recruiters will ask you about this in the interviews. So there are three major platforms used in PV globally. First one is Oracle Argus Safety. This is the market leader. It holds roughly 60% of the global PV software market and is used by top most important pharma companies. If you learn one tool, make sure it's Argus. It handles everything: ICSR processing, signal detection, regulatory submissions, and E2B data exchange. Then Viva Vault Safety. This is newer cloud-based competitor. It has more modern and user-friendly interface and is growing rapidly in adoption, especially with the mid-size and newer pharma companies. More and more job postings are now mentioning Viva alongside Argus. Then RSG. This is a comprehensive platform with strong AI capabilities, popular in the Europe and emerging markets. Some CROs use this as their primary system. So as a beginner, you don't need to be an expert in all three, but knowing what they are, what they do, and having even a basic familiarity with one of them, like even through demo videos or free trainings, will give you a real edge in the interviews. Moving ahead. Now, where can you actually work in PV? So top pharma companies like Pfizer, J&J, GSK, Novartis, AstraZeneca, all of these product-based companies have large dedicated PV teams and are constantly hiring drug safety professionals globally and even in India. Then CRO. This is honestly where most PV beginners start. Companies like IQVIA, Fortrea, PPD, Paraxel, Syneos Health offer entry-level to senior PV roles and handle PV outsourcing for multiple pharma companies simultaneously. So, working at the CRO gives you exposure to multiple drugs and therapeutic areas at a very earlier in your career. Then, consulting firms. Accenture, Infosys, Big Four, and specialized PV consultancies also hire PV professionals, particularly for system implementation, process optimization, and regulatory consulting projects. And for those wondering about salary in India, entry level is roughly 3.5 to 6 LPA, mid level is typically 7 to 14 LPA, and senior or lead roles can go from 15 to 30 LPA and even beyond based on your specialization and company. Okay, so now what skills do you actually need to build to get into PV? First one is medical terminology. You need to understand MEDRA coding, basic anatomy and pharmaceutical terms. You don't need to be a doctor, but you need to get comfortable reading and interpreting clinical language. This is something you can build through self-study. Then regulatory knowledge, familiarity with FDA and EMA guidelines, ICH guidelines, and most importantly, reporting timelines. Knowing the difference between a 7-day and a 15-day report, knowing what GVP module 4 covers, and these things come up in PV interviews every time. PV softwares. As I mentioned, Argus, RSG, and Viva are what employees expect. Even a basic awareness of how this system work, what modules they have, what they are used for is a plus at entry level. Then communication skills. PV involves a lot of documentation, case narratives, follow-up queries to reporters, internal quality comments. All this requires clear, precise writing. And cross-functional communication with medical and regulatory and even legal teams is a part of the job. And even attention to detail is one of the trait that matters above everything in PV. Missing a single field, miscoding a term, or missing a reporting deadline can have serious regulatory consequences. This field rewards people who are careful and thorough. Okay, alright, we are almost at the end, and I want to leave you with something exciting. So, where PV is heading? And AI and automation, like machine learning, is already being used for signal detection, MEDRA coding, and narrative generation. Tools like Oracle's AI modules within Argus can reduce manual workload by 50%. So AI is not replacing PV professionals, it's making them more efficient and shifting the focus to higher value tasks. Then real world data integration. Electronic health records, wearables, patient registries, and even social media are now being used as source for safety monitoring. The scope of PV is expanding beyond traditional case reports. Then global harmonization. The ICH E2B R3 standard is driving worldwide alignment in how safety data is collected and exchanged. This means a case processed in India follows the same electronic format as the one processed in the US or Japan. Then career growth potential. The demand for PV professionals is growing globally as more drugs are approved and global regulatory requirements become stricter. The need for skilled PV talent is going to increase. Then data analytics and visualization. Power BI, dashboards, SQL-based safety analytics, and predictive safety insights are becoming mainstream in PV operations. So if you combine PV knowledge with data skills, you are extremely well positioned for the future. Okay, so that's a wrap on Pharmacovigilance Decoded, a beginner's guide. I really hope this video helped simplify pharmacovigilance for you and gave you a better understanding of how this field actually works. So if you found this helpful even a bit, please like the video, subscribe to Analytics RX, and share it with someone interested in pharmacovigilance or drug safety careers. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.